The marketplace was alive with sound and color, yet one small corner of it felt strangely quiet. Bright banners hung from tall poles, alien voices called out in sharp tones, and strange machines buzzed and whirred. Dozens of species walked the wide stone paths, each taller, stronger, or stranger than the last. Some had scales, some had long insect legs, and others shimmered like liquid metal. They traded, argued, and shouted, filling the air with noise. But in the middle of it all, on a step of a cracked fountain, sat a small human child. She could not have been more than 9 years old. Her clothes were simple and worn, her shoes dusty from travel. She hugged her knees to her chest and held something close, a small black cat, curled neatly against her side. Most aliens did not look at her for long. Their eyes slid past her like she was nothing more than dust in the wind. Humans were not common in this part of the galaxy, and when they did appear, they were often ignored. But the child did not seem to mind. She sat very still, her gaze fixed on the cat in her lap, as though it was the only thing in the world that mattered. The cat's golden eyes glowed faintly in the light of twin suns. It purred, low and steady, but its ears twitched with every sound around them. Then the crowd shifted. A tall shadow moved closer. Heavy feet echoed on the stone floor. Conversation stopped as a figure stepped into the circle of light that surrounded the child. It was an alien taller than any man, with a wide chest and long arms that ended in clawed fingers. His skin was rough, covered in patches of dark blue scales. His mouth stretched wide in a grin that showed sharp, jagged teeth. His eyes narrowed as he stared at the child, and a laugh bubbled from his throat. "Well, well," he said, his voice deep and cruel. "What is this?" A human child, lost among real beings. The words carried across the market, and those who heard them fell silent. Some turned away, shaking their heads. Others leaned closer, curious. But none stepped forward to defend the girl. The alien bent down, his face close to hers. His hot breath smelled of metal and rot. He laughed again, louder this time, mocking her small size and fragile frame. "Look at you," he sneered. "So tiny, so weak, a toy among giants. Do you think this place is safe for a soft little creature like you?" The girl did not answer. Her arms tightened around her cat. She lowered her eyes, but not in fear. The silence stretched. The alien tilted his head, expecting her to cry, to beg, or to run. That was what small prey usually did. His claws tapped against the stone, sharp and impatient. "Say something," he growled. "Or is your tongue too small as well?" The crowd shifted uneasily. Whispers ran between merchants and travelers. A few of them shook their heads. One muttered under his breath, "He should not do this." Not to that one. But the alien did not hear. He only saw a small child, defenseless, powerless, and he saw an opportunity to amuse himself. He jabbed a claw toward her cat, grinning. "And what is this? A pet? Do you hide behind it, little one? Do you hope it will save you?" The cat opened its eyes fully then. Golden light flickered in its pupils, and its tail flicked once across the girl's lap. The sound of its purring stopped. The alien froze for half a second, then laughed again. "Oh, don't tell me this tiny beast is your protector. Look at it. So soft, so harmless. It cannot even stand against me." The girl's lips moved, though no one around her could hear what she whispered. Her eyes never rose from her lap, but her voice was steady, quiet, like a secret shared only with her companion. The cat blinked slowly, as though it understood. Its body stretched slightly, muscles shifting under soft fur. Its ears pinned back, sharp against its head. A strange hush fell across the marketplace. Even the machines seemed to grow quiet. The air itself felt heavier, colder. A few merchants backed away from their stalls, pulling their goods with them. One alien mother dragged her child behind her, whispering fast and nervous. The tall alien frowned. His grin wavered for the first time. He glanced at the faces around him, then back to the child. "What is this?" he muttered. "Why do they look at me like that?" But still, he did not back away. Instead, he stepped closer, his shadow falling over both the girl and her cat. His voice rose, proud and cruel. "Come then, little beast," he mocked. "Show me what you can do. Show me what power you have against me." The girl finally lifted her head. Her eyes were clear, calm, and far older than her years. She said nothing. She only looked at her cat, and the cat's golden eyes burned brighter. The alien's grin widened as he looked down at the girl. His sharp teeth glistened under the pale light of the twin suns. He enjoyed the silence, the fear he believed he saw in her lowered eyes. Around them, the marketplace seemed to hold its breath, every voice and sound fading into uneasy quiet. "You should not be here, little human," he mocked, his voice deep and echoing. "This place is not for weak creatures. This place is for the strong." He raised his long arms, spreading his clawed hands wide, showing off the size of his body compared to her small frame. His scales shimmered as he leaned closer, his breath foul and hot. "Do you think anyone here will protect you?" he laughed. "Look around. They only watch. They know what you are, small, fragile, useless. You are nothing but prey." The girl did not look up. She did not cry. Her arms wrapped tighter around the black cat, as if drawing strength from its warmth. Her lips moved again, whispering softly into its fur. No one else could hear the words, but the cat's golden eyes seemed to glow brighter with each sound. The alien bent even lower, his jagged teeth only inches from her face. "Say something," he demanded. "Show me you can speak. Or are humans only good at crawling and begging?" The crowd stirred uneasily. A merchant, standing near the edge, hissed at him under his breath. "Leave her be. Do not test that creature." The tall alien turned his head sharply, eyes narrowing at the voice. "Creature," he growled, "you speak of this soft little pet. It is nothing. Look at it. It is weak, just like its master." He jabbed a claw toward the cat. The animal did not flinch. It simply blinked, slow and calm, its body tense yet still, its tail coiled tightly around the girl's arm, as though it already understood what was coming. The alien laughed again, a cruel, booming sound. "I could crush it under one step. I could tear it apart with a flick of my claw. And you," his eyes shifted back to the girl, "you would be left alone, smaller and weaker than ever." He expected her to sob, to plead, to cling desperately to her pet. That was what prey did. That was what made him laugh. But instead, the girl raised her head just a little. Her eyes, clear and steady, met his for the first time. She did not speak loudly. Her voice was no more than a whisper, yet it cut through the silence like a blade. "You should not say that," she murmured. The alien's grin faltered for a moment, then returned with sharper cruelty. "And why not? What will you do if I do? What will this animal do?" The cat's ears pressed flat against its head. The low sound of its purring vanished, replaced by silence. Its golden eyes fixed on the alien, unblinking, unshaken. The alien's claw hovered closer, almost touching the soft black fur. "It is only a cat, nothing more." The merchant who had spoken earlier took a step back, his face pale. "You fool," he hissed. "That is no ordinary cat. Stop now before." "Before what?" The alien cut him off, laughing again. "Do you all fear this tiny thing? Have you lost your senses? It is only a pet." The girl's voice rose just enough for him to hear clearly this time. "He is not only a pet." Her hand stroked the cat's back gently, as though giving it permission. The cat's body shifted, its muscles coiling tight beneath its fur. Its golden eyes burned like fire now, casting faint light on the alien's scaly skin. The crowd whispered louder. Some backed away, dragging their children with them. Others ducked into shops, peering through cracks in the doors. The air felt heavy, thick, like a storm was about to break. The alien's laugh wavered, but he forced it louder, covering his unease. This is nonsense. You are all cowards. Watch now. I will prove it. He drew back his hand, claws spread wide, ready to strike the cat in a single swift motion. The girl closed her eyes. She did not scream. She did not move. She simply whispered again, so quiet that only the cat could hear. The cat rose to its feet, slow and deliberate, its back arched. Its tail flicked once, and the glow in its eyes spread like fire across its fur. Shadows stretched unnaturally long across the ground, twisting and curling around the alien's legs. The marketplace grew colder, though the sun still blazed overhead. Every sound was gone now. Even the alien's laughter died in his throat as he looked down at the creature before him. What is this?" he muttered, his voice shaking. The girl opened her eyes. Calm, unafraid, she spoke just 3 words, each one slow, clear, and heavy. "You mocked him." The alien stepped back instinctively, his claws trembling in the air. The crowd gasped as the cat took another step forward, its eyes blazing, its body no longer that of an ordinary pet. And for the first time in his life, the tall alien felt something he had never known before. Fear. The alien's hand hovered in the air, claws extended, but his grin no longer looked steady. His sharp teeth were still bared, yet his eyes flicked nervously between the girl, the cat, and the silent crowd around him. He had expected laughter, cheers, or at least silence that favored his cruelty. Instead, he felt the air shift against him, heavy and strange, as though unseen eyes watched from beyond. "Stop," a voice muttered again. It came from the same merchant as before, a short alien with gray scales and tired eyes. He spoke louder this time, his voice firm but edged with fear. "Stop before you go too far. That is no ordinary cat. You do not understand what you face." The tall alien snapped his head toward the merchant, his pride stung by the warning. "Do not tell me what I face," he snarled. "It is a child and her toy. Nothing more." His voice boomed through the marketplace, but the echo carried unease rather than confidence. The crowd shuffled backward. Feet scraped against stone. Stalls creaked as nervous merchants closed their wares. Mothers clutched their children. Fathers pulled their families toward exits. The square, once alive with noise, began to empty, leaving only a tense ring of onlookers too frozen by dread to move. The girl did not shift. She sat still, her hand resting lightly on the cat's back. Her face remained calm, her eyes unblinking, as if she had already accepted what must come next. The black cat stood taller now, no longer curled in her lap. Its fur bristled, though no sound came from its throat. The purr was gone, the mew was gone. What replaced them was silence, silence that weighed more heavily than any roar. Its golden eyes glowed brighter, reflecting not just light, but something deeper, something alive and ancient. The alien's claws twitched. He felt an odd sensation run through his chest, a pulse of instinct, a warning buried deep in the bones of hunters across the stars. For the first time, he hesitated, but pride was stronger than instinct. Pride, arrogance, and the need to dominate. He straightened his back, towering over the child, trying to cover his unease with cruel laughter. "Listen to them," he sneered, gesturing at the retreating crowd. "They are cowards. They whisper shadows and legends. But he slammed a clawed hand against his chest. "I fear nothing." He turned back to the girl, his grin sharper. "And I will prove it." The merchant shook his head. His voice cracked as he called out, "You do not mock the bond. Not here. Not now. Step away while you still can." The alien laughed in his face, the sound forced but loud. The bond, he spat. Do not speak to me of myths. Do not speak to me of human tricks. They are nothing. This, he pointed again at the cat, its golden eyes still burning, is nothing but a beast that pretends at power. The cat blinked slowly, and for a moment, the alien swore the shadow beneath it moved on its own. It stretched long across the stone, curling around his feet, clutching at his heels. He kicked his legs, shaking it off, but the shadow clung like smoke. He snarled and stamped the ground, clawing at the empty air. Illusions, he growled. Parlor tricks. You will not frighten me. The girl finally spoke again, her voice soft but certain. You should leave. The alien froze, staring at her. Those words were not spoken like a plea. They were not a cry for mercy. They were a warning, gentle, almost kind, but edged with finality. He roared with laughter, forcing the sound into the square as though volume could crush fear. Leave? No, I do not leave. I conquer. I mock. I break. That is what the strong do. His claws shot forward again, stopping just above the cat's head. He waited for the animal to flinch, for the girl to cry out, but neither moved. The child's calm eyes held him steady, and the cat's golden gaze drilled into his mind. For a heartbeat, he felt small. For a heartbeat, he saw himself reflected in those eyes, not as a hunter, but as prey. He shook his head, snarling, forcing the thought away. You are nothing, he spat, lowering his hand closer. You will bow to me. But the crowd had already decided. They turned from him. They shook their heads. They muttered words he did not understand. Prayers, warnings, curses. The sound rose in a low chant, fear threading through every syllable. The girl's hand lifted, stroking the cat once more, slow and steady. Her whisper was lost in the growing hum of voices. But the cat responded, its body coiled like a spring, its fur bristling in sharp ridges, its eyes now blazing as bright as molten gold. The air cracked. A sudden chill swept through the square, biting into skin and scale alike. The alien stumbled back half a step. Confusion etched into his face. Still, he forced his pride forward. He raised his clawed hand high, ready to strike. Enough of this game, he roared. I will end it now. The girl met his gaze, and her words fell like stone into silence. No, she said. You will regret it. The cat's shadow stretched once more, curling like a black tide. The alien looked down and saw it rise, alive, wrapping around his legs. His laughter faltered. His chest tightened. For the first time, doubt turned to fear. And still, he ignored it. The alien's roar still echoed across the stone square, but the sound rang hollow. His claws hung in the air. His shadow stretched unnaturally long. And for the first time, even he began to notice the weight pressing down on the place. Something had changed. The marketplace, once loud and bustling, was now still as frozen glass. The merchants who had not already fled stood rigid at their stalls, eyes wide, breath held. No one spoke. No one moved. Even the wind seemed to vanish. The banners overhead no longer fluttered. The machines no longer whirred. The air itself held its breath. At the center of it all, the child remained seated, her hand resting lightly on her cat. Her face carried no fear, no anger, no tears. Only calm, as if she had already seen what would come. The black cat shifted. Its paws touched the stone with soft steps, and it walked forward, leaving the girl's lap. It moved with deliberate grace, silent and smooth, each step echoing louder than it should have in the still air. Its fur bristled, every hair sharp as a blade. The alien sneered, though his voice cracked at the edges. A show of bravery, he mocked, his grin strained. The beast tries to stand tall, but his words fooled no one, not even himself. His eyes darted from the cat's glowing gaze to shadows that stretched unnaturally beneath it. They rippled like water, dark waves spreading across the ground. The crowd murmured, fear thick in their whispers. One voice rose above the rest, a thin cry from the merchant who had spoken before. You fool, do you not see? The bond is alive. That is no ordinary creature. The alien snapped his head toward the sound, his pride desperate for something to anchor it. Lies, he barked. Legends to frighten children. But his words were drowned by silence. Every onlooker stepped back farther, leaving him alone with the child and her cat. Their wide eyes told him the truth he refused to admit. The cat stopped walking and sat, its body low, its tail curling around its paws. Its golden eyes blazed brighter now, lighting the ground in front of it like twin torches. The light did not waver. It did not blink. It burned, steady and endless. The alien's chest tightened. He forced laughter from his throat, but it came out thin, trembling. Is this the best you can do? He jeered, his voice louder than he intended. Light and shadow? Tricks of the eye. But the chill deepened. His breath misted in the air, a strange sight under the twin suns. He rubbed his chest, unsettled by the weight pressing against his lungs. His claws, once steady, now trembled slightly. The child finally moved. She stood, her small frame rising from the cracked fountain step. Though she was no taller than his knee, the simple act of standing made her seem larger, stronger, untouchable. She placed a hand gently on the cat's back. Her voice carried, soft yet clear. You mocked me. You mocked him. Now you will see. The alien bared his teeth, furious at her calmness, furious at the fear gnawing at his own heart. He stomped forward, claws raised high. See what? That your beast can glare? That your whispers frighten fools? I am not afraid. But the crowd saw the truth. His shout cracked. His steps faltered. The closer he drew, the colder the air became. The cat rose again, slow and deliberate. Its movements were too precise, too controlled. It was not an animal now. It was something more, something bound by ancient strength. Its shadow stretched long and sharp, curling around the alien's feet like chains. He tried to step back, but the stone beneath him groaned, cracking slightly where the shadows pooled. The child's eyes never left his. Her hand never trembled. She whispered again, 3 quiet words that slid like ice into his ears. He is ready. The alien's body stiffened. He glanced around desperately, hoping someone, anyone, would laugh with him, would break the spell that bound the air. But no one moved. The onlookers only watched, wide-eyed, waiting. Some bowed their heads. Others whispered prayers. None dared interfere. The alien's claws shook. His grin broke. For the first time, the idea of retreat slipped into his mind. He tried to push it away, tried to summon his pride. I am stronger, he hissed under his breath. I am stronger. But the cat stepped forward again, and every word turned to dust. Its eyes burned with fire. Its shadow grew taller than him, stretching high along the wall behind. The sight made his stomach twist. His pride cracked under the weight of it. The change in the air was complete now. There was no marketplace, no laughter, no sound of trade. There was only silence, the child, the cat, and the shadow of something vast and terrible. And in that silence, every living being knew the same truth. The alien had gone too far. The alien's claws hovered high above the child, his pride and fury straining to drown the fear clawing at his chest. Around them, the marketplace stood frozen. No whispers now, no merchants, no sound of trade. Only silence. Silence so deep that every heartbeat could be felt, as if the entire square shared the same pulse. The black cat stood still, its golden eyes fixed on the towering figure before it. The glow was brighter now, as if molten fire burned behind its gaze. Shadows stretched, bending unnaturally across the cracked stone, wrapping around the alien's legs like dark vines. He shifted his weight, but the shadows clung to him, dragging at his feet. Still, he sneered, trying to force courage into his voice. You think tricks of light and shadow stop me? I am not afraid of this thing. His laughter rose again, hollow and sharp, and the sound cracked in the air like broken glass. He swung his claw downward, aiming at the cat's head. But the cat moved. It was not a leap like any animal's. It was not clumsy, not frantic. It was precise, impossibly fast, and utterly silent. One moment it stood at the girl's feet. The next it was gone, nothing but a blur of black and gold. The alien staggered as a burning pain slashed across his chest. He stumbled backward, his claw missing its target. His grin vanished. He looked down. 4 long marks had been carved into his scaled armor. Deep grooves that smoked faintly, glowing with heat. Blood, bright and alien blue, welled up and dripped from the wounds. The crowd gasped in unison. A wave of whispers surged, carrying fear and awe through the square. Some cried out warnings. Others cheered under their breath, unable to contain the thrill of seeing the arrogant one wounded. The alien staggered again, pressing a clawed hand to his chest. His voice broke. What is this? The cat landed silently at the child's side. Its fur shimmered with faint, golden light, as though fire lived beneath its skin. It did not hiss. It did not roar. It only stood tall, calm, unshaken, its gaze locked on its target. The girl lifted her hand and touched its back once more, a gesture so simple and quiet, yet filled with meaning. She whispered, too soft for most to hear, "Enough?" But the cat's eyes never dimmed. The alien's chest heaved as he glared at the small creature. His pride screamed at him to strike again, to prove his strength, to show the crowd that he was not beaten by a mere pet. But fear whispered louder, whispering truths he did not want to face. Still, he raised his claws, blood dripping from his chest. It cannot be real, he spat, his voice trembling. It is only a cat, only a human's pet. I will... He lunged forward. His claws slashed down, faster than before, fueled by desperation. But the cat was faster still. Another blur, another strike. This time his arm burned, for fresh marks appeared across his scaled forearm, slicing through muscle and scale alike. His roar of pain echoed through the square. He dropped to one knee, clutching the wound, his sharp teeth grinding together in agony. The cat stood again, perfectly still, perfectly calm. Its shadow rose tall behind it, stretching like a monster black flame, far larger than the creature itself. The girl's eyes never wavered. She looked directly at the alien, her voice soft but unyielding. He told you not to mock him. The alien's gaze darted between her and the beast. His chest heaved, his breath ragged. He looked at the crowd for support, but found none. Every alien there had stepped farther away, their faces pale, their eyes filled with fear. Some whispered words he could not understand. Ancient names, warnings, curses. He realized then they were not afraid of him. They were afraid of the child and her companion. "No!" he whispered, staggering to his feet. His pride cracked like shattered glass. "This is wrong. This is impossible." The cat stepped forward, one slow, deliberate movement. Its golden eyes burned brighter, casting long, sharp beams of light across the square. Its tail flicked once, sharp as a whip. The alien stumbled back, his claws raised not to strike, but to shield himself. "Stay back!" he shouted, though his voice trembled. "Stay back, beast!" But the cat did not stop. It moved again, a blur of black fire. This time, the alien fell to the ground with a cry, his shoulder torn open by deep gashes. Blue blood spilled across the stone, sizzling faintly where it touched the ground. His body shook as he clutched the wound, his arrogance gone, his laughter dead. The crowd gasped again, but no one stepped forward to help him. No one dared. The girl's eyes softened, but her words were firm. "I told you to leave." The alien groaned, forcing himself upright on shaking legs. He tried to speak, to form words of pride, but only a broken growl left his throat. His claws dripped blood. His body trembled. His mind raced with panic. The cat did not leap this time. It only walked forward, slow and steady, each step a drumbeat of doom. Its golden eyes never blinked. The alien's breathing grew frantic. He stumbled backward, clawing at the ground to stay upright. His arrogance was gone, stripped away by fear. He saw not a small creature before him, but something far greater, something boundless, something ancient. The cat stopped only a few feet away. Its gaze locked onto his. Shadows stretched taller, curling like claws across the walls. The alien's voice broke, no longer mocking, no longer cruel. It was raw, desperate. What are you?" The girl stepped forward, her small hand resting again on the cat's back. Her voice was calm, clear, and final. "He is my protector," she said, "and you mocked him." The alien's knees buckled. His body shook as he dropped to the ground. His pride was shattered, his wounds deep, his fear absolute. The cat sat, tail curling neatly around its paws, golden eyes burning like suns. It did not attack again. It did not need to. The message had been delivered. The crowd stood in stunned silence. Some bowed their heads. Others whispered prayers. A few even knelt, not to the alien who had mocked, but to the bond they had just witnessed. A bond between a child and her companion, unbroken, unshaken, unending. The alien staggered to his feet, clutching his wounds, his pride gone forever. He stumbled backward, blood trailing across the stone. His voice, once filled with cruel laughter, now cracked with regret and terror. I did not know," he stammered. "I did not understand." The girl said nothing. Her silence was heavier than any words. The alien turned and fled, his heavy steps echoing across the stone square, growing weaker with each stride until he vanished into the distance. Only then did the marketplace stir. Whispers rose like wind, stories spreading, words carried like fire. The child and her cat stood at the center, untouched, unbroken, stronger than anyone had imagined. And the lesson was clear to all who had seen. Never mock a human's bond. Never underestimate the protector at their side. Because when the first strike came, it was not just a wound. It was a warning. And no one who saw it would ever forget. The marketplace had witnessed many things over the years. Brawls, bargains, thieves caught and punished, even duels between hardened warriors. But never had it seen this. Never had it seen silence so heavy, fear so deep, or a lesson so sharp. The alien staggered backward, blood spilling from wounds that glowed faintly beneath the twin suns. His chest heaved, his scales cracked, and his claws trembled. The mocking grin that had once stretched across his jagged mouth was gone. His pride had been torn as easily as his armor. He looked down at the child, so small, so fragile, and then at the black cat that stood in front of her, calm and unyielding. Its golden eyes blazed with quiet fire, its fur shimmering with a light no creature of flesh should carry. The alien's breath rasped. He pressed his hand to the wounds in his chest, but the blood seeped through his fingers, staining the stone beneath him. For the first time in his life, he felt weak. For the first time, he felt like prey. This cannot be," he whispered, though no one answered him. The crowd kept their distance, their faces pale, their eyes wide. Some whispered words he could not hear. Some clutched their children close, shielding them from the sight. But none stepped forward to help him. None spoke in his defense. The alien had mocked the child. He had mocked the bond. Now he bore the weight of that mistake. The girl's voice cut through the silence. It was soft, but it carried with clarity that struck deeper than any blade. You laughed at me. You laughed at him. Do you laugh now? The alien flinched at her words. His claws curled tighter against his wounds. His body shook. He wanted to snarl back, to reclaim the strength he once felt, but no words came. His throat locked tight with shame. The cat stepped forward, each paw silent on the stone. Its shadow stretched long and twisted, crawling up the walls like living smoke. The alien tried to step back again, but his body betrayed him. His legs trembled. His balance faltered. He saw himself reflected in those golden eyes, not as the hunter, not as the conqueror, but as the fool who thought himself strong, who thought cruelty was power, who thought laughter at the weak made him mighty. Now he understood. Now he regretted. The girl placed her hand gently on the cat's back, steady and calm. She did not smile. She did not gloat. Her eyes held no triumph, only truth. You should have listened. The alien shook his head, voice breaking. I did not know. I did not understand. Her gaze never wavered. You never asked to understand. You only mocked. The words cut deeper than claws. They carved through the armor of his pride, leaving him raw and exposed. He had laughed at her weakness, mocked her smallness, ridiculed her companion. And now, standing broken and bleeding, he saw that he had mocked himself all along. The crowd stirred, whispers rising like wind in a canyon. He challenged the bond. He mocked the child. And the protector answered. Stories spread in real time, carried from mouth to mouth, voice to voice. The alien could feel the weight of those words pressing down on him. He was no longer the predator. He was the lesson. He turned, stumbling, trying to flee, but the cat stepped again, silent and steady, and he froze in place. His breath caught. The wound in his chest throbbed with each heartbeat. He felt the weight of his blood dripping to the ground. The child tilted her head slightly. Do you feel it now? She asked. His mouth opened, but no sound came. His body shook harder. His knees buckled. Fear, she whispered. The same fear you tried to give me. Her words echoed through him like thunder. He had wanted her to cry, to tremble, to beg. Instead, she had sat silent, calm, unshaken. And now, he was the one trembling. He was the one begging inside his own mind for the nightmare to end. The cat moved closer. Its golden gaze filled his vision. He stumbled back until his shoulders struck the wall of the stall. His claws scraped uselessly at the wood, his body caged by his own weakness. "Stay back!" he cried, his voice breaking. "Please stay back." The crowd heard the word clearly. Please. From him, the tall, cruel alien who had mocked without mercy, now begging like a child. Gasps rippled through the onlookers. A few shook their heads. A few smiled grimly. None pitied him. The girl's eyes softened, not with mercy, but with something older, something truer. You are not the first, and you will not be the last. But you will remember. The alien's head dropped. His claws shook against the wall. Regret poured into him like ice. He thought of the laughter he had used to fill silence, the cruelty he had thrown like stones, the pride he had worn like armor. Now all of it was nothing, useless, fragile, broken. He stammered. His voice cracked. "I regret." The words stuck in his throat. He had never spoken them before. He had never allowed them to live in his mouth. But now, faced with the child and her protector, he could speak nothing else. "I regret," he whispered again, the sound ragged, desperate. The cat stopped moving. Its golden gaze burned, but it did not strike. It only watched, patient and eternal. The girl nodded once. Her small hand stroked the cat's back, steady. Then go. Take your regret. Remember it. Carry it. Never forget it. The alien's body shook as he forced himself upright. His wounds ached. His pride lay shattered at his feet. He staggered forward, past the child, past the cat, his steps heavy, uneven. He did not look back. He could not. The crowd parted as he moved through them. No one reached out to touch him. No one spoke in his defense. He was not a warrior now, not a predator, not even a rival. He was a warning, a shadow of what pride and cruelty brought. Whispers followed him, carrying the story already. He mocked the child. He mocked the bond. And he paid. The alien stumbled until the marketplace faded behind him. His breath rattled. His chest burned. And deep within his mind, the image of those golden eyes would never leave him. He would remember. Back in the square, the child sat once more, her hand resting gently on her cat. The crowd remained distant, silent, reverent. They did not cheer. They did not approach. They only watched. The girl's face was calm again, her eyes thoughtful. The cat curled beside her, its golden eyes dimming back to quiet light, its fur smooth once more. It looked, to anyone who did not know, like nothing more than a simple black cat. But everyone in that marketplace knew the truth. It was not just a pet. It was a protector, and the bond between them was not to be mocked. The alien had learned regret. The crowd had learned fear, and the galaxy would carry the story. The marketplace remained still long after the tall alien fled. His heavy footsteps echoed into the distance, fading into silence, leaving behind only blood on the stone and fear in the air. The crowd did not cheer his retreat. They did not call after him. They only watched, as though waiting for something else to happen, something larger than what their eyes had already seen. At the center of it all, the child sat once more upon the cracked step of the fountain. She smoothed the folds of her worn clothes and rested her hand gently on the back of her black cat. The creature had returned to its quiet posture, tail curled neatly around its paws. Its golden eyes, which only moments before had burned with fire, now glowed softly again, calm and steady. To the untrained eye, it looked once more like an ordinary animal. But no one who had witnessed the strike, the shadow, the fire in its gaze, would ever again call it ordinary. The merchants whispered among themselves. Some shook their heads, their voices trembling. Others bowed slightly, a gesture of respect to the girl and her companion. Children clutched their parents' hands, eyes wide with wonder and fear. Stories were already being told, carried from mouth to mouth. He mocked her, and the cat answered. He bled, and still he mocked. But the protector struck again. He begged before a child. The girl looked neither proud nor vengeful. Her face was calm, her gaze thoughtful, as though the entire ordeal had been nothing more than a lesson she had always known would come. She stroked the cat's fur, and the animal purred once more, low and steady, the sound vibrating like hidden thunder. A merchant finally stepped forward. His gray scales caught the sunlight, his eyes tired yet filled with awe. He had been the one to warn the alien, the one to whisper the bond. He approached slowly, bowing his head before speaking. "You carry the old truth," he said quietly. "The bond between human and protector. Many doubted it. Many thought it legend. But today we have seen." The girl did not answer. She only glanced at him, her expression unreadable. Her hand never left the cat's back. The merchant bowed deeper. "The lesson will spread. It must spread. The galaxy will know what we witnessed here today." And so it began. By the next rotation, the story had already traveled beyond the marketplace. Traders who fled early told their own version, each colored with fear and exaggeration. In one account, the cat grew to the size of a lion. In another, Its golden eyes burned holes into the alien's chest without ever touching him. Some claimed it was not a cat at all, but a spirit given flesh, bound to the child by something ancient and human. Every version carried the same truth, though. The alien mocked, and he regretted. Far from the square, the alien nursed his wounds in silence. His pride, once a weapon, was shattered beyond repair. He avoided crowded places. He did not laugh as he once had. When others asked about the scars across his chest and arm, he gave no answer. His silence became its own confession. But when he closed his eyes at night, he saw them. The golden eyes, the child's calm face, the words she had spoken. You mocked him. Those words echoed louder than any roar, heavier than any wound. He regretted, truly regretted, and that regret became the weight he would carry for the rest of his life. The spreading fear. Weeks passed, then months. The tale of the child and her cat spread from system to system, world to world. It reached ports where humans were rare, where their presence was doubted, dismissed, mocked. The story changed as it traveled, but the lesson remained untouched. Do not mock the humans. Do not mock their companions. Do not mock the bond. In bars and markets, in ships and stations, whispers grew into warnings. The story became a shield for human travelers, whether they knew of it or not. Those who once sneered at their smallness, their fragility, now thought twice. They remembered the tale of a cat with golden eyes. They remembered the alien who mocked and bled. Some laughed nervously, pretending they did not believe. But even in their laughter was fear. Back in that first marketplace, life slowly returned. The banners once more fluttered. The machines buzzed and whirred. Voices rose again in trade and barter. But the memory never left the stones. Every merchant who had seen it carried the lesson in their heart. Every child who had watched grew up remembering the girl's calm eyes, the cat's burning gaze. And every visitor who came to the market heard the story, for no one could resist retelling it. The girl herself did not linger long. She traveled onward, her cat always at her side. To those who asked her name, she gave no answer. To those who asked about her companion, she only smiled faintly. It was not fame she sought. It was not power. She carried only truth. And the truth was simple. Humans were never as weak as they seemed. Years later, when the story had become legend, when it was told in countless tongues across countless stars, the lesson still remained sharp. Children of alien races whispered it to one another in games. Mock the bond, and you will bleed. Warriors repeated it before duels, reminding each other of limits not to be crossed. Merchants invoked it when bargaining, a warning against arrogance. And in the quiet corners of the galaxy, when a lone human traveler passed by, even the cruelest and proudest paused. They remembered. They thought of golden eyes. They thought of silence heavier than war. And they stepped aside. The girl grew older, but the bond never faded. Wherever she went, the cat went with her. Wherever she stood, whispers followed. Some called her guardian. Some called her curse. But all remembered her. And long after she was gone, the story remained. A story of pride undone. A story of cruelty punished. A story of a child and her protector. It began with laughter. It ended with regret. And the galaxy never forgot. The fountain where it began still stood, cracked and worn, its stone stained faintly by the alien's blood. Merchants pointed to it when retelling the legend. Children touched it in awe. And every passerby, human or not, left with the same thought. Never mock the bond. Because somewhere out there, in the shadows of the galaxy, a cat's golden eyes might still be watching. And no one wished to learn regret the way that alien did.